guess we'll just get started. Thanks all for being here. This is the Reverie Roundtable, which we have on Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, right? All right, and we are going to go around here and introduce everyone. I'm really excited as to this group of individuals. I think we'll have a good time. I will start with my man, Sprouticus, right? He's spoiling us after being gone for so long. Sprouticus is here and really doing, I think, a bang-up job on these panels. So thank you, buddy, for coming back.
Hey, not a problem. And if you don't mind, I'm going to use my opening just as a moment of silence for Memorial Day for all fallen soldiers in combat.
Okay. Oh, well, fair enough. Thank you. And thank you, anyone out there who served. Yeah, thank you for your service. Shout out to all of you, including our friend Sprouticus here. All right, let's go to Scott. Scott, have you ever been in the military? Have you even thought about being in the military? I feel like that's like against everything you stand for, but
I was a 68 whiskey healthcare specialist combat medic.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to you for this Memorial Day.
The MOS checks
Memorial
out.
Day. No, it's Memorial Day. It's not a fucking day for veterans. It's a day for people that gave their fucking lives.
The dead ones.
Fair enough.
And he wins.
We have Veterans Day for that.
Okay. Nope. Fair enough.
Regardless, my name is Scott. I am from the duo cast Fabian Liberty. We're an anarcho-capitalist channel. We do interviews. We recently did an interview with a D-trans male that was super interesting and fun. We do philosophy reading night. We do a lot of news and analysis. We do the occasional gaming. And late tonight, we'll do a watch party for episode 1, part 2 of Kenobi and see if it's the same trash of utter fucking vomit garbage that was episode 1, part 1. Some of the worst Star Wars I've ever seen. Yeah, check us out. Thanks for the love.
Scott, why is it gotta be like
the
this?
forest chase? You didn't like them stumbling around chasing a little girl with
Oh yeah, that was terrible. That shit was
that was really bad.
The whole episode was terrible.
I don't think
terrible fucking writing, terrible cinematography. We don't know if it's Moss Espa or Moss Isley because you can't fucking tell because it's one market. There's like no fucking makeup design on aliens. It's fucking sucked. You have a depressed fucking Kenobi like out in the open just sneaking fucking meat. Spoiler alert, everybody, right? Like he's all fucking depressed and they couldn't figure out a way to make that better. Like his conversation with Ben fucking sucked. You have like the black female Inquisitor that's like, the other Inquisitors don't want Kenobi. I'm strong. I'm doing the smart thing. It's fucking very clearly a fucking vacuum for Kathleen Kennedy's politics with no
my
fucking
god.
soul
Of course.
I'd like to point out really quickly that one of the things was the black female Inquisitor.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little weird. The black one.
Right. No, exactly. No, you had me. I was like moving towards your side into the last fucking thing, right? Of course, that's the thing you had a problem with.
Trigger word that made you go fucking defense.
That's fine. Look, it's of course, right? Like, of course, you saw a person of color there, and you're like, oh my god, I'm not being represented at all points of time. Oh my god, Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, so your nuance point goes out the window. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we get it. Right. You're racist.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Jason Society. Jason Society. We're upgrading, right? So Jason Society. Thank you for being here. It's been a while since we've had you around. Shout out to you, Jason. Been a long time supporter of the community, so nice to have you back, buddy. How are you? And new background, right?
Oh yeah. We switched stuff up a little bit. I am Jason Society, Jason_Society on Twitch, Jason Society all one word on Twitter. I'm a leftist and I stream about politics and cannabis, and I host Stonercast on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where I bring on some of your favorite stoner streamers and we talk about all things cannabis. So if you want to check it out, you can check out my channel, follow me there for alerts and updates. Otherwise, I'm streaming Monday through Friday, usually 7:30 p.m. Pacific, until I can't stay on any longer. So come by and check us out. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for coming through. Before you were in like your living room or something, right? And like it was like just in front of your door, and you would just see people coming in and out of your house, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm still there. It's just quiet now.
Oh, okay, great. Anyway, we have a brand new person on the Reverie and this channel, period. Thank you, Claw, for coming through. We met the other day, and they reached out, and I was happy that you did, because I did enjoy talking to you there. I thought you were a lot of fun during that panel that we were in. How are you doing, Claw?
Wonderfully said, but muted.
Yeah.
I was saying I was pretty good. I will say that I have known about Prime for a long time. I saw him back in the day. I was banned for 20 months on the platform, so I had to do a lot of watching and observing from the sidelines. And I saw Prime sort of make. It was all of the political streamers. So probably a lot of you. Doobie, for instance, I recognized him early on when I first started seeing the panel shows started picking back up and everything like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, these guys are awesome because they're at least like keeping this like theme alive in the space. And thank you for that, I guess, since I've been gone. But for what I am and what I do, I try to make more meme shit on my channel. But when I appear on other people's channels, I want to be more myself. I try to give more logical takes on a lot of these things. So I'm here to kind of get a feel for these other different types of communities and try to mingle with more people, network, meet you guys, figure out how your brains work, all that kind of stuff, because most of you are completely stupid, but I can maybe save a couple of you, so maybe I can do that along the way. But either way, my name is Claw on Twitch, and here I am. Hope I don't get banned again.
Hey,
That's all.
Is he really quiet for anybody else?
Yeah,
I
was
myself up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
turn your
quiet for
gain up
me.
a little bit.
You were
Yeah.
louder previously, so whatever you were
Yeah.
your previous settings, go back to that.
I had to pop you up to like 200% on Discord.
Yeah, I've got you at 200% as well, and you're still a little bit quieter.
Okay.
Well,
Alright.
we could just try something like this, maybe. I don't know, but
Yeah,
we'll
no,
that's
figure it
better.
out.
Much better. Much
Yeah.
better. Much better.
Much
Okay.
better, thank you.
All right, if we're
I
gonna
just
save
don't want you to go
anyone,
unheard.
No, it's okay.
we're gonna save anyone. Save Scott. All right, save him from himself. Right. Save him from his ideology. I'm gonna lead to his doom.
You mean being based as fuck?
yeah, that's the problem. It's just too much, right? Just maybe turn
Couple
that
more
down
black
from a little.
t-shirts, you'll be fixed.
All right. Next, we have a new person also to the Reverie, but not to the channel. We have Gnosis. It's been a long time member of this community. Thank you for being around. Thank you for accepting. Also Canadian, all right? Like another Canadian here. Fuck. One too many. Let me tell you. But Gnosis, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, it's nice being on. It's nice being platformed. I am Gnosis. I stream about stuff. That stuff typically being like social, political, economic theory, whatever I find interesting. I try and just take whatever I learn, mix it the fuck up. I try to make up my own shit, see if I can justify it, see if people like going down that route. I just want to make things, fresh, funky, and new. I'm going to be a little bit weird. I'm going to be very wrong most of the time. But hey, if things spice up, that's a good thing. All right? That's me.
My panel, I think, is already more fresh, funky, and new with you on it. So thank you for that. All right. Next, our next Canadian. Hello, Corey Campbell. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being here. But no thanks for infiltrating an American space. Okay. All right. And spreading your socialist ideology here. We don't accept that. So Corey, thank you for being around.
Yeah, thank you so much. Super grateful to be here, and super grateful that you reached out to invite me on. I'm Corey Campbell. You can find me twitch.tv, Corey Campbell 84. I'm a biochemist, so I cover science, research. I do a little bit of politics. I do workout streams occasionally from time to time. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you.
Also, not Canadian, Quebec. We are explicitly, we reject Canada. We are a unique nation within a united Canada.
They're
We're
their
like
own thing.
twice as bad.
We're very special.
They're special,
True.
right?
I agree.
Is that what your mom told you?
Yes, absolutely.
Ah,
I
okay.
believe it.
100%.
You said it in French too. All right.
All the way.
Oui, oui.
All
Omelette
right.
de fromage.
Great reference. Love it. Love it. Good reference. All right. Let's go to our man Homer Smooth.
Really?
Smooth is back at it with us. How are you, Smooth?
I'm good, man. How are y'all doing, man?
All right.
So I'm smooth.
Your lips are off.
Yeah, your video is way off. Your-
But it's
Your
lagging
lip sync
behind?
is way off.
it's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, like it's.
Oh, okay.
We'll work with it.
Yeah. I'll have to fix that in a second. But anyway, I'm Smooth. I primarily do my own podcast. I do it live on Twitch, and then I also game stream. So if you guys want to check that out, you guys can. I'm gonna keep it that short.
All right, love to see it. And finally, our Dark Lord and Savior is back, Doobie. Doobie is with us. Doobie, do you think it's a bigger insult to be called a Canadian or a Mexican?
They're both really bad. I don't know how I'd rate them, to be honest. I give them both a 10. I'd feel extremely insulted if you called me either of those, because I'm neither of those things, to be very clear. But just really quickly, I want to apologize to Claw, because I looked up his girlfriend and I want to verify she is hot. Like, your girlfriend's hot. Congratulations. I'm Doobie. I have Brother Politics server on Discord, discord.gg/politics. You know, that's where you find me. Oh, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So Claw, I don't know if your girlfriend's in Mexicans, but one
She is
apparently.
Look, there's a reason people lick frogs. Okay, let's be real.
All right, that was really good.
Keep my eye on you, Doobie. All right, you're keeping your tongue off of everything.
Okay.
All right, let's jump into it. First topic: monkeypox is now in the news and causing concerns with its global spread. The World Health Organization says that it's unlikely to become a pandemic, but that there are still many unknowns, quote unquote. However, as those of us in the Western world come out of the COVID pandemic, should we trust these medical organizations and their recommendations? Should the public be skeptical after the roller coaster of conflicting information that it was given over the past 2 years, or should we trust in the science, quote unquote? But yeah, so I've heard a lot of talk from individuals, like online, like the moment that this showed up in the news, that monkeypox was here, right? That people, first of all, reacted with like conspiracy theories, just right off the bat, but also just skepticism altogether with what's being told to us by the medical community, by the scientific community, and is any of that warranted, or is this just anti-science morons on Facebook tossing like dumbass memes, and we should just ignore them? We do introduction. We did introduction.
We're doing opening statements.
Okay. Opening statements. No problem. We'll get to you. Sprouticus, right? Start us off.
Okay.
I think there's a very good saying that comes into use here: trust but verify. I mean, it's useful to trust what the scientists are telling you, but it's always better to trust it and then verify it afterwards with your own eyes. Anything that's pretty good advice is to trust what someone is saying, but then to verify it afterwards. So, trust but verify.
Really? Okay, let's go. Scott.
Wow, nice and short and sweet. Look, I'm never gonna fucking trust the World Health Organization. I'm not gonna trust like a multinational corrupt fucking system that's supposed to give us accurate scientific data, and just has been proven, especially with this pandemic, to not do so. I mean, even as of like right now, we have the World Health Organization, changing the COVID death numbers from 5.4 to 14.9, adding in excess deaths, and not having any fucking conversation about if any of those excess deaths were caused, I don't know, by government actions. When the leading cause of death for everyone, male and female, age 18 to 45 in America, is fentanyl overdoses. And when Philadelphia has crime rates above the fucking 90s, the idea that like all excess deaths are just COVID, and that's a reason to put China of any fucking organization on their board. The same people that fucking like went after doctors for daring to report about COVID, the same people that had the zero COVID policy in Shanghai, and then use this as some excuse to engage in higher, tracking of phone, higher tracking of metadata, hoping individuals sign on to more authoritarian fucking like dystopian shit like facial recognition and things of that nature so that we can stop future pandemics. No, there's no fucking reason to trust these individuals. That being said, you should trust a doctor that shares the values that you have. And these interactions should be between you and your doctor. And, and the idea that we can say that the science is the same thing as what large political or supposedly non-political entities report as the science is bullshit. Facebook, Twitter, all of these, YouTube, they're known for getting rid of doctors for daring to disagree with governments and world organizations, whatever their narrative is. And so, no, saying trust the science is unscientific. If you want to be scientific, you should be skeptical of what these large organizations say, and you should have conversations with people that are more informed on the subject, such as your doctor, and make informed decisions based off of your own research and what your doctor says, knowing that your doctor probably knows a lot more about it than you do.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Okay, simply put, I'm actually surprisingly very similar to Sprouticus. I think there is good reason to have skepticism about any kind of mass institutional body, but I also think that you can take some of their advice and some of their insight and apply that to your life without being completely dogmatic about it. And I also think it's good to consult with your own physician and do what's right for you. But I think taking what they have to say under advisement should be treated as that. You're taking it under advisement. It's useful. It's good information. It doesn't have to be the Bible. You don't have to live by the fucking doctrine. Take what works for you out of it. See what makes sense, especially when you're speaking like with your doctor or what have you, and run with it, and you have to make the decisions that are best for you, and, your life and your family. So.
Thank you so much, Claw.
Yeah, so I was banned on the platform for 20 months, and when you are banned from Twitch, you have nothing else to do other than to find yourself in QAnon rabbit holes.
You're quiet again.
So I know, maybe move a little bit closer, but yeah. I find myself in QAnon rabbit holes, right? Now, obviously, I'm not a stupid person. I don't fall for the QAnon rabbit holes as much as Scott has, presumably, so far, but we'll get to that during the round. I do think, however, that I learned a little bit of how the enemy thinks and how they understand a lot of this stuff and why they're drawn to it. And maybe to an extent, what Jason was saying was true to an extent, but I do think that there's a need for, when we are locked down, the mental health strain that comes from all of this kind of shit causes us to go down these rabbit holes of mistrust and not trusting the government and a lot of these things, because we're kind of strung up and going crazy, lockdown and all that kind of stuff. That's what leads to a lot of this shit. So I think there's other avenues and other solutions we could probably look at right off the bat before we start doing this whole lockdown thing all over again for this new thing. I don't believe that we should not trust the science. I don't believe that we should not trust any of the officials. I also kind of don't agree with the whole World Economic Forum type shenanigans going on with all of those UN, EU, WHO kind of things going on, where they're all overarching forms of government on top of the states, countries, and things like that. But other than that, I think there's a lot to talk about and a lot of good solutions that could be implemented that are better than what we've had. And I think that's largely going to be how we handle this next epidemic.
All right. Let's go to Nasus.
So personally speaking, I feel like it's pretty obvious to some degree. We understand how sensitive our healthcare infrastructure is, specifically to events like mass pandemics. So I understand why governments now would be a little bit more sensitive in reacting to any worldwide plague that might potentially be happening. Although I feel like, again, as Sprouticus said, they need to be, wary and understand, maybe we don't really need to worry about this too much. And how I would specifically measure when it becomes a problem versus when I feel like whatever would be when the scale of infection rather than the scale of the severity of infection becomes too much of a problem. That means there are too many people getting infected, and it doesn't matter well, to some degree it does matter how long they will be infected, but if it's a 4-day sickness and it can spread really fast, it may not seem like it, but on scale, on a very, very large number of people, this will cause a lot of disruptions that would make life not only inconvenient, but may just cause proper damage, like infrastructural damage of plumbing, of maintenance, that sort of stuff, because people may get sick. So if they do choose to take any action, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm like a 20-year-old on the internet who's just doing his research. But they need to react swiftly, and they need to react with sensitivity to any new information that comes out. That be it like, oh, this only spreads sexually, so like people don't need to worry about that. If that's the new case, then they need to change the restrictions to adapt to only that. But if it's way worse than it turns out, yeah, obviously we're gonna need to kick it up a notch. But people in their own lives do need to be hesitant, but governments do need to be responsible, because people dying is economically bad for quite literally everyone. That's all I have to say.
So much. Okay. Next is Corey, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's a lot to unpack here, but I'll attempt to keep my opening statement short. I largely agree with Sprouticus' sentiment of trust but verify. I think that's an overall good heuristic, for sure. But I think it needs to be paired with hopefully the recognition that you are not always in a position to verify, or have the ability to verify, or have the requisite knowledge to verify. You know, as a literal biochemist, I can make a lot of statements that you probably, I'm pretty sure, are not in a position to verify. And also when it comes to like trusting the science, ideally we should strive, or rather, we should be in a place to trust the science, but also at the same time, we can recognize that there were totally missteps that took place during the COVID-19 pandemic that hopefully we can learn from, that has certainly undermined trust in institutions, undermined trust in certain scientists or government officials. But I'm hoping we can get to a place that we can, reestablish trust in these institutions. But I'm not entirely sure what to do with individuals like Scott that says they will never trust no matter what. I'm not entirely sure what to do with that, but I think there's a lot to talk about here, and I'll end it there.
Smooth.
Oh, with me, okay, I'll address this like this. The World Health Organization is a room to be skeptical, absolutely. Okay. They were wishy-washy, they were kind of back and forth, but our administration did not help them in that regards, because we were very wishy-washy, even state to state. It was weird. You go to one state, you're outside all day, and the other state, it's like a ghost town. But with that said, how they handled this monkeypox epidemic, I think should be it should be probably a bit more hands off. Like, give people the information and kind of just let the governments of the states decide again, because that's what they're gonna do anyway. The states are gonna do what they want to do. The federal government can say what they want to say. The states are gonna end up doing what they want to do, and we're gonna end up right back where we were with COVID. But hopefully this isn't like airborne. I think it's more of a contact based, if I'm not mistaken, on how monkeypox works. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. I trust the science. I believe in like going to actually like read the studies. They do a lot of studies, and they're quite extensive. You should just go read them, not just like, oh, I'm gonna go do my own research. Like, no, these are people that are professional researchers. They were paid to do this. Like, go read the studies, go read the study and read the peer review. Like, they actually validate these things. But that's where I'll end it.
Thank you so much. All right, last but not least, Doobie.
So I guess I'm somewhere in between Scott and Corey. So I do distrust these like massive like multinational organizations, but them having China involved at all is a massive red flag. Given what China did during the beginning of the COVID outbreak. And I think that this trust but verify thing, that's a good place to start. But as Corey said, most people don't have the knowledge to verify, don't know where to look. Even if they do know where to look, they won't know all the terms. They don't know how to read studies. I've been an internet nerd for a very long time, and I can barely decrypt some studies, right? Like it takes a lot of work, and most people just don't have the fucking time to do it. So that we gotta, if you're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna verify by reading these studies and reading these peer-reviewed articles, you gotta be a little humble, understand that you probably don't know what the fuck you're reading, right? Like realistically. And I think that either way, I think that political willpower doesn't really exist in the United States. to have another 2-year plus lockdown. I think that's just people just aren't going to put up with that again. So yeah, I guess I will semi-trust. But either way, I think that we're not. I don't think we're gonna have lockdowns again. I don't think it's wise for either party to push for lockdowns. I think that's like a massive killer. And yeah, I hope people don't get monkeypox.
All right, open to the panel.
All right, so since multiple people called me out by name, let me go ahead and start. When you say trust the science, right, as somehow against me in some capacity, I find it really laughable, because you're not really saying trust the science. When you say trust the science, what you're saying is trust what government and NGO organizations that are in bed with large corporations tell me to believe. You're not actually looking at the research, you're not actually looking at the studies, and you're not following doctors and epidemiologists and virologists that disagree and trying to understand.
Right now?
Yes,
Wait,
I'm asserting that claim that when people
where's your
come,
proof that that's what we're talking about? You see,
because I specifically said in my opening statement that I don't trust these specific organizations.
Do you think that maybe everybody?
And then your response is,
do you think that everyone just mentioned trust the science in their opening argument because they had to, or else they would get banned? Probably. Do you think maybe that was?
So to be fair to
then we
fair to
shouldn't
Scott, I
trust
think
your in any
so
way.
so Scott, we
Like,
can
we
say this.
should-
So when I say trust the science, when I say that, like, most people are doing exactly what Scott says, right? They're going to trust what's in the media. They're going to trust what's put out in by these major organizations, but they're not actually going to look at the science themselves. So when people say trust the science, they are really saying typically trust the media, trust these organizations.
So here's
said
against me.
And here's a great.
If you want to look at the science, right? We don't know all of the variants of monkeypox that are out right now. We have an assumption based off of smallpox and monkeypox, right? That there's some immunity, though most of the people that have had a smallpox vaccination, except for like people that have deployed like Sprouticus, right? Or have been out of, I won't say deployed at hardship tour, but not important. People that have recently had a smallpox vaccination. In the West, most of us have not had a smallpox vaccination in like 30 or 40 years. So we don't know, like we're going to need to see actual research to see, do those, 40-year-old vaccinations still give enough protective, are they still enough of a protective factor that you should be fine? We don't know if like new vaccines like Bavarian Nordic, like how effective those are compared to traditional live attenuated vaccinations that we get for smallpox. Like we're gonna have to look at the science. I do trust the science. But when you just say like, hey, trust the science, bro, like, are you like, I don't know how deep down the 4chan rabbit hole, QAnon rabbit hole you are. It's like you're tying this idea that disagreeing with the World Health Organization or actually looking at the science is somehow anti-science. And if anybody has been anti-science during this last entire pandemic, it was left-wing individuals that did nothing but fucking simp for fucking large corporations.
I have a question.
Data.
So when it comes to basically trusting institutions, I feel like to some degree, none of us actually truly trust in institutions themselves. Because like, look, we really can't affirm that the data has been collected properly. It's been managed correctly, that they are producing this data, and this data hasn't been doctored, it has been fabricated. I understand that, but at the same time, it's not that one specific institution that is the only institution that is doing the research. Of course, like a lot of casual people, we should keep in mind, they're not gonna go through the effort of actually doing the research. They're only going to look at like what's on mainstream media. They're going to look at what's on like Twitter, fucking WhatsApp, Facebook, that sort of shit. They don't put in as much effort as we do. But the ones that do, I feel like, again, we have this ambient level of distrust that we all work with, and calling it out doesn't really get us anywhere. Because if you blindly trust anything, you really can't work with it. If you blindly distrust something, you also can't work with it. There's always going to be a level of ambiguity of, that they have a bias, they have their own goals and motivations, and they're obviously
but the last 2 years haven't shown that. The last years haven't shown that. What the last 2 years have shown is that when these institutions put out public statements, people are willing to just blindly repeat the same shit to other people
or
and
hear
tell
me
them
out.
you're
Obviously not.
anti-science.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have people
hear me
taking
out.
ivermectin. I mean, give me a break. Like,
Here-
no,
here-
there
here-
are people that are not listening to that advice.
Right,
Here-
There
exactly.
are a lot of people that are not listening to that advice.
Hear me out on this one. So here's a good thing to do is to trust but verify. You trust what you're hearing. You go verify it. Like I trusted the information I was getting about the vaccine. I verified it with my doctor, who is in charge of my medical records, who has access to all my medical records, which will give me the most sound advice on what I should do medically for myself. My doctor said wait till it's FDA fully FDA approved, because I had some health conditions that were showing might be a problem with the vaccine, but full FDA approval, and if there was nothing out about my health condition, then the vaccine would been fine. It got full FDA approval. I went and got it. Trust but verify is a huge thing. Trust what you're hearing, but verify it with your own personal doctors, with the people you have around you, and also understand that science is all about proving itself wrong over and over and over again. Science is always attempting to prove itself wrong to see if they were wrong and to move science along. Science is literally to try and prove themselves wrong or prove their predecessors wrong over and over and over again.
Because that's like what the Republican Party kind of does for themselves. So like, here's the problem with like a lot of the proving themselves wrong thing. That was a joke in case Scott missed it. But the thing with this whole trust the science or not the science, or the science in quotes at the TM after it, all that shit. There's the scientific method that you guys are discussing and trying to say that you should be constantly challenging the science. And there's the science that the policymakers have to adhere to for making their decisions. Now, when they're making these decisions, they have to address what the fuck they know already. They obviously can't talk about quantum mechanics and all the fucking shit that might happen in the future, because that's not solidified yet, okay? If you want to partake in those arguments or debates, you have to like go into those researches and actually go into those sciences, right? We haven't like solidified any of that shit enough to make policies on them. A lot of this kind of other stuff, there is policy change to be had here for small changes.
Yeah, but Claude, I think the
don't
pushback you're going to get is that from the officials who have devoted their lives to looking into these things, there were policies put forward that we've now found were actually counterproductive, that actually hurt people and got people killed. Right? So if you're saying, hey, just trust these people that have devoted their lives to this stuff, and then we have a recent history of these people putting forward policy with everything they know about the science that hurt people and got more people killed, then why how can we trust these people?
The problem was what? The problem was the problem was states making the decisions on their own to have different policies was a large issue this last time for COVID, correct? Where
the state the people that made decisions didn't even follow through with their decisions, such as the governor of California. He almost got ousted to pick another governor outside of election cycle. He didn't even listen to his own recommendations, not even recommendations. He didn't even listen to his own instructions that he gave the citizens.
I mean, shit.
We could have elected Larry Elder and we really dropped the ball.
Okay, so now pause for a second. We're bringing up like fucking governors of California saying what they didn't do, what they said.
You're talking about what the states did. Yeah, so we're gonna bring the governors of the states.
You brought up what the state did, and I'm telling you what the state actually did.
No, you're bringing up what the governor actually did. The governor almost had a scandal.
The governor's part of the state.
One second. I want to let Corey in. He hasn't had a chance to talk. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, first, I think we're conflating a few issues in terms of like there's the government response, and then there's like what the scientists attempted to put their messaging as. And sure, we can say that was their message like absolutely 100% always correct? No, but science is messy. Science is not infallible, just as humans are not infallible, and we make mistakes. That's part of the scientific process. That's built in, and hopefully we learn from that. But also to bring it back a little bit, Scott, when you say people should trust their doctors, like by what basis are you saying that? Are you saying that doctors are conflict of interest free, and that there's like no evidence to show that there are some doctors who clearly have conflict of interest, especially in the United States when it comes to lobbying pharmaceutical companies? Like, on what basis are you saying that people should then just trust their doctors but not the institutions?
So Corey, like, you and I have had several COVID vaccine conversations where we go really deep into the science and policy. Most people are not going to be as well aware of all of the shit that you and I are well aware of, right? Like, they're just not in any way, shape, form, or capacity. And so what I said initially wasn't just trust your doctor. I said, find a doctor that matches your values,
absolutely,
right? And listen to that doctor, because they're likely to know a lot more of what's going on. I think both of those aspects are important. You don't just blindly trust any doctor. You find a doctor that matches your values. So, for example, if you are someone that is, let's say, vaccine hesitant, right, to use the media's own terms, you know, and you don't like the COVID vaccination because of all of the issues that have presented itself with that vaccine and because of your specific life, your interests, whatever, right? If you go to your doctor right now and they were like, hey, this vaccine, not looking great. I'm not even going to call it a vaccine. I'm going to call it an mRNA therapy because that's what I believe it is, right? And they match your values and you talk to them about monkeypox, your doctor's probably going to say one of two things. He or she's either going to say, look, monkeypox probably isn't that big of a deal right now. Don't worry about it. Or they're going to say, yeah, smallpox vaccines have like almost no fucking issues, right? You're probably fine, right? And so the same people that might have been alarmist about one vaccine, when speaking to their doctor that knows what they're talking about, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to take this bifurcated needle. I'm going to jab you in the fucking arm 15 times. It's barely even going to fucking sting. And then put a patch over it and clean it over the next couple days. And you're going to be fucking fine. Right? But because they match your values and they have information that you likely don't have.
Hold on. You keep saying this thing about matching your values. Like, I don't want a doctor that matches my values. I want a doctor that's going to tell me what is empirically correct as far as my health is concerned.
Right.
I could give a good goddamn if they're a socialist or a fucking MAGA. You
well,
know,
that's stupid.
I want
actually,
correct
that's
fucking
stupid.
information.
Oh, yeah. No, that's just
okay,
stupid.
I'm actually going to come to
No. Wait. Scott. So
that's stupid.
You're saying
that's just
no,
pure
so
stupidity.
You're saying to have a doctor that doesn't care about politics or policy or any of that, is just going to give you medically sound advice every single time. It's stupid.
I didn't say that. I said not having a doctor that doesn't match your values is stupid. If you're searching for a primary care physician, right, and you're going to see this doctor regularly, it should be someone that understands you, that has a relationship with you, understands what it is that you want, what your goals are in life. And that's what a relationship with a primary care physician is. It's not a fucking, you know, like I don't want my epidemiologist, because I don't have one, to like match my fucking political views. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he or she understands what it is that you want because they are providing you a service.
But your doctor doesn't. Your doctor doesn't.
To put it in like a
doctor does not
way,
need. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Your doctor does not. Your doctor does not need to have the same political stance as you. Your doctor does not. Your doctor does not need to be an anarcho-capitalist.
He gave the example of the vaccine. But
Spartacus, what state do you live in right now? Do you live in a state?
I live in
where
Indiana.
Weed is legal?
No,
weed is illegal there, right? Do you smoke weed?
I'm gonna let you decide on that one.
When you go to your doctor and you have to tell them that you smoke weed, do you think that if you did not align their political values, did not want weed in the system, that they would tell on you and make you get arrested or something? Because that could potentially happen.
No, I don't think that would happen. No.
Calling your NCO right now.
So think of it like this. Imagine if you were trans and your doctor was like a very advent conservative. They would probably refuse you treatment. But that's because like they don't really.
Why you need someone who your primary care doctor needs to be someone that understands you as a person. Exactly. On top of the other things like you were talking about. There's obviously the empirical evidence is all backed in top of that other stuff, right? In order to be a doctor, they have to do all of those things. But they also have to know who the fuck you are, and you should probably find somebody that like aligns with your things. Because, for instance, I've been completely honest with my doctor about everything that I've done or not done or whatever the fuck, and they know exactly what to give me drug-wise or not drug-wise. They know when to wean me off of shit or when to increase my stuff or whatever the fuck they do for doctor shit. They know all of that stuff because they know exactly what I'm doing in my private life.
Claude, do you think that if you told your doctor do you think if you told your doctor that you did cocaine, the doctor's gonna tell on you and you're gonna go to prison? Do you think that's gonna happen?
Because I have a good relationship with my doctor, because I spent the time to.
I'm pretty sure that's outside the doctoral code, that doctors can't just send you to prison because you told them that you've done a drug.
I don't know what the fuck doctoral code is, but it's
I have no idea what the fuck. I literally know people that have told their doctor. I haven't ever done heroin, but I know people have told their doctors they do heroin, and they've never told on them at all. They just helped them and they healed them and they got through them shit.
I've confessed a lot of crimes.
So okay, all right. So
you want a doctor that's gonna hide your illicit drug use, of course.
Well,
guys,
no,
if you hear,
it's like a doctor's allowed to tell the cops that you've done heroin.
1 second. If you hear popping noises, they're doing fireworks outside my window, and it's super fun.
Memorial Day.
Hooray! And I'm so thankful for the fireworks. But okay, anyway, the point is, so Scott, you you are kind of on the same page as what Spartacus was saying previously, and trusting your doctor and using your doctor necessarily as a first source. The problem with that is that doctors aren't scientists, right? Those two things aren't the same, right? There's a Venn diagram here, and it doesn't completely overlap. There are some doctors who do. Fair enough, yeah. But not everyone understands that, to be fair. So there's some doctors who do research and who are deep into a specific field and are making advances on that, and others who are just, practice medicine, which is great, but they may not understand the topic, the area of virology, right? Like they may not know exactly what's going on. So when it comes like, is the monkeypox dangerous? Well, you'll find some doctors that'll say, hold on, I'm almost done. I want to hear your response. So there are some individuals who some doctors who will say that, this is extremely dangerous, right? Others will say, well, no, according to what I can see in terms of the structure of this virus and how it's spreading, right? Its pathing, that it's not dangerous at all. Like you can find both doctors will say the same thing. Now, one of these is right, right? One of these people are right, but you have to necessarily know that your doctor has that speciality to be able to trust them, rather than just being a doctor. I mean, correct?
Well, no, so like, listen, your typical MD probably did some research in college, obviously, like they did some, but what they're dealing with their primary care physician is, no, they're usually not involved in research. And when I'm talking about your doctor for a vaccine, I'm not talking about a specialist, right? I'm not talking about like, asking whether your rheumatologist, whether or not you should get your vaccine. I'm talking about your primary care physician. Now, if you have something like I have, like a connective tissue disorder, it might be a conversation I would have with my rheumatologist, right? Because they're going to be more aware of my specific condition. But regardless, any medical doctor not only is going to be far more knowledgeable of the science just from their education in the field in order to become a doctor, but also they have continuing education credits that they're required to get in order to maintain their licensure. But most of those things, to be honest, right, are going to be pamphlets and journal books that come from large research companies and institutions, as well as from pharmaceutical companies, right? Like a lot of their education is going to be, at least in America, is going to be pharmaceutical companies giving them what it is that they want to hear. And so what I'm saying is, for the typical normie, right, that like tries to read, like looks at vaccine efficacy in a research paper and doesn't know what that means. They think they know what vaccine efficacy means, but they don't know whether or not they're actually citing absolute risk reduction or like relative risk reduction. They don't know when it says efficacy, whether or not they're talking about viral load, whether or not they're talking about transmission, whether or not they're talking about reducing symptomology. Like they don't know, because they just see efficacy and they go, that means how good it is, right? Like to that typical person, you should probably find a doctor that understands you, that you have a relationship with, that matches with at least some of your values, so that they can understand what it is that you want and what it is that you feel, right? Because they don't want to get fucking sued for malpractice, but also because they want to maintain a good relationship. And then you should probably trust your doctor, unless you're going to do mountains of research. But I would say that is a better source for understanding what is good for your individual care and the choices that you should make than listening to corporations and governments that have completely fucked incentive structures. I mean, really bad incentive structures. And then taking that as if you're informed and you know what you're talking about, and then spouting that like a fucking mouthpiece at people that disagree with you, and being like, being Ethan Klein, be like, just trust the science, bro. Just trust the science, bro. You don't even got to read it. Just trust it.
Well, how do you know that your doctor hasn't been corrupted by one of the pharma guys coming in and selling him a bunch of fucking bullshit? How do you know that your roommate isn't going to How do you know your roommate isn't going to sneak into your fucking room and blow your brains out, right? But you can apply the same logic.
Like you're talking about whether or not we should have any trust at all in humans ever, right? As opposed to like, where is the best source of information for what you should do with your body.
The problem is,
let's go to Nasus. Nasus, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we want, like, okay, if we're gonna do like the whole medical safety route of like, if you're gonna do medicine, you're gonna need to focus on making it as safe as possible. Yeah, honestly, we should probably go with the most paranoid route if we want to be as safe as possible. But my main thing is that, like, yeah, obviously there's going to be like people that know that, all right, I have my body's a little bit fucked up like me. I'm South Asian. Pakistanis have a higher likelihood of having ADHD and developing diabetes, but that's a whole other thing. But because I understand that, like, because of my genetics, I have some certain predispositions, and my doctor also understands that because they are either South Asians or understand that there are some racial differences based on racial differences that cause different sort of health problems down the road or have a tendency to develop certain health problems. Yeah, that is very useful. But what about when the person isn't responsible? Like homeopathy. Basically what that is just like adding the essence of a object, a fruit, a petal, or whatever to water and using that just like a extract of an extract of an extract to the point that it's only the concept of it being water that has once been attached to an apple or something like that. This is a very oversimplification, but that's basically what homeopathy is. We all can understand that, like, this literally doesn't make sense. There's nothing medicinal about this. It's only
Who the fuck's talking about homeopathy? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about people that don't understand that they are actively harming themselves because they believe that this is all like, this is a psychosomatic effect. This is a placebo. They're getting better through that.
Yeah, but the placebo quite literally is a proven effect that works, correct?
Yeah, but I'm talking about they believe that is the only solution.
That proof that has proof
that is the only solution.
That belief has power.
If you have a compound fracture in your arm, and
you have just proven that you are indeed ADHD because you went way the fuck off topic.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, again, let's use your exact same thing you're using right here, right? You specifically said homeopathy and placebo, correct? So placebo exists, and that is a scientifically proven thing that proves that belief is real and it has an effect on your mental health and your health in general, correct?
And I'm saying that very specific belief shouldn't be the only thing.
Everybody just thought that they were feeling better. Wouldn't that be better than telling everybody that they are disgustingly sick and going to die?
If the house is on fire, shouldn't we tell people there is a fire instead of letting them sit there and inhale in the
house on fire and there's 100%?
If they understand the house is on fire,
maybe when I turn the oven on and there's a 1% chance of death, I don't have
give
to
a
fucking
shit.
call the fucking ambulance.
Because if that 1% happens, maybe you should call the ambulance.
Oh no shit, bro! But
I'm saying that this is that 1% chance happening.
Bro, no, it's not.
And they are choosing not to call the fucking ambulance
because you just said it's 1%, not 100%, bro. It's 99%.
I'm saying this chance occurred.
Listen, we can agree that people trying to fight viruses purely out of homeopathy are probably a little bit off their fucking rocker, but that's a very specific small portion of the population. Not like what we're talking about.
I'm saying that is the extremified behavior of what I'm trying to combat, of people irrationally believing something that is proven not to work.
Let's go to Corey, then Sprout. Okay.
Yeah, Scott, if I may ask, so like I agree with the overall sentiment that you should have a good relationship with your doctor, and hopefully you can find a doctor that you can establish a good relationship with, that knows who you are and more or less what you want. But I'm curious, like, what would you say to the individual that, like, based off of, so they have a doctor-patient relationship, they found a doctor that presumably aligns with their values, and they overall have a good working relationship. What would you say to the individual or the patient that, based off of their research, they don't want to take the vaccine, they go to their doctor, they ask about it, but that the doctor recommends it? Would you recommend that this person finds a new doctor?
Well, I mean, like, there's not enough information there, right? Did the doctor lie to them? I think would be the first thing. Like, did they do research and find that the doctor provably lied to them? Because if so, yeah, you need a new doctor. But if if they have a good relationship with their doctor and their doctor says, look, here's what I think, and they disagree, right? Then, I mean, that's still up to that individual's choice. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying force it on the individual. I'm just curious in terms of, like, would you recommend, like, given that, like, based off of a prior relationship, it seems like there might be an
Right,
alignment of
there's not
values,
enough
but given,
there's not enough
new
information there,
circumstance,
right? Like there's not enough information
well,
there.
you
Like
can't provide like
I
360
think people
context,
should have
but
the freedom to go to another doctor if they want, and I think they should also probably take heed of what it is that their doctor says, especially if they have a good relationship and their doctor has worked with them in the past and they align with their values. They should maybe like think twice about their own quote unquote research if their doctor disagrees with them in this specific instance. But I mean, again, I would need far more variables to understand what I think that individual person should do and what I would recommend to that person.
And then it's sort of expanding, like, so then how do you like, so then what should government officials do in terms of like, if they want to implement sort of any public policy in terms of a response to a sort of pandemic, like who should they trust then? It seems like you're saying that you can't trust anybody.
Corey,
and that
we've
there's
had
no-
enough conversations for you to know that I'm an anarchist, right?
Yes,
I don't think the
I'm
government
aware.
should be fucking involved in this at all.
I know, but given the like totally, like I understand the space that you're coming from, or just like get rid of it all. And like, yeah, I know that you're coming from the space of you can't trust these institutions, just period. But I'm saying, given that they exist, like, you know, what can current existing government officials trust? Are you saying that they can't trust and that they should just like try random things and see what sticks? Or like,
I mean, given what we currently have, I would say that the government should take a back seat and should attempt to inform with the current institutions that they have, and you know, act as a conglomerate of data from other sources, and possibly, you know what I mean? Like, would I support or advocate that the government use tax dollars stolen from me to engage in research? No, but I mean, I have more important fights to fight right now than that. Like, you know what I mean? Like looking at like what I want way down the road and like what I think is most important here. You know, what I think is most important with the current institution is stop mandates and stop telling people what, and doctors what they have to do, and start just acting as in a place of information that people can utilize.
So first off, to what Claude told me a while back, is that it's illegal for a doctor to inform law enforcement about drug use. That is illegal. There's doctor-patient privilege, and that violates doctor-patient privilege. You can't go to your doctor and be like, "Yeah, I took heroin," and your doctor be like, "Oh, calling the cops. You're gonna be arrested. You took heroin." So
I mean, to be fair, they should.
Well,
they
it's
should call
also
the
against
cops.
it's also against doctor-patient privilege.
I mean,
there is such thing as doctor-patient privilege.
It's called HIPAA. It's not a lawyer agreement. It's not like that type of same thing.
But
they are also mandated reporters if they think that someone is like serious threat to themselves.
No, I understand that, but only
can they send you to a mental health hospital for 72 hours if they don't feel like you're yeah, exactly. So if you're doing
they're mandated reporters, but it's not.
They can deem it however the fuck they feel like it. And unfortunately, if you are a fucking member of the wrong fucking team, you're going to wherever the fuck they send you, and you're gonna take whatever.
All right, so
they want
all right,
you to take,
you can go against the source that I have then on that. But it's illegal for a doctor to just go out and tell police that you have done drugs.
I have nothing to do with police.
So
I just went around it again. Just
you
like
asked.
how
You
just
asked.
Like, no,
you
just
know,
like how who and
I was
economic
talking.
forum and
Still,
everyone else.
I can talk over you as well. We can play this game if you'd like to.
Go ahead,
We can play this game if you'd like to.
I invented
Okay,
the
okay.
word.
So you can
stop it. Knock it off. Knock it off, Sproutacus. Go ahead.
So you can disagree with the source, but it's illegal for doctors to do that. Second off, most if not all medicine is tested against a placebo. So I don't know why we're sitting here arguing about a placebo effect when most if not all medicines are tested against a placebo to ensure that it's not just the belief that it's working, but it's actually the medicine that is working.
That's the only thing it's tested against, isn't it?
Yeah, which is strange. It should be tested
Isn't
against like,
it?
the other medicine.
Huh? Isn't that interesting? Isn't it weird? The only thing we're testing against is belief.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's the science, bro. That's what the science is all
I mean,
about.
like,
literally,
drugs also have different uses.
I literally can't.
Viagra is.
How about testing against
other
results? How
medicines?
about give every single fucking state the right to do whatever the fuck they want, and let all 50 states choose to do whatever the fuck they want? And then if you really
That's
agree with
gonna
their
make a
fucking
lot of child marriages happen.
States
stop living in Indiana, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Because when one state
states don't have rights.
and doesn't do fucking anything,
They have left.
and then
Don't
people
have
go
rights.
from one state into another state that's trying to do the
You are all
right thing.
so
Those
stupid. You
people in
have
the
no
state
idea how
that
this
try to
fucking
do the
system
right thing
works.
are fucked because of the
Anyone here-
dumbass state.
If
So,
you make
know,
states too different, you're going to need to make the United States of America basically the European Union. that's going to be a logistical nightmare if you go down like the whole state freedom route. But like, that's a whole other story. We're getting off topic. But like, it seems like we all understand that there is an institutional trust issue, and we understand that it is very difficult to not only develop trust, but to maintain it. Because as soon as it's lost, it's very difficult to trust something after they've betrayed you and betrayed that trust.
That's not true. Stop. Look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
But like, what are methods we can use to like prove that these institutions are deserving of trust, and we can check that trust?
Dude,
because like,
I don't care. I gave them my money. I'm done.
Okay. But yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Doobie.
So really quickly, Sprout. Claude just walked away, but you need to keep in mind his girlfriend's walking, so he can't. His girlfriend's watching, so he can't let another man dominate him. So just be a little more lenient. You know, give him some
I'm sorry. I did emasculate him. I apologize for emasculating
don't
Claude.
do that. That's weird. So really quickly, separate from all this like talk about who we can trust and how do we know our doctor is not a deep state official. Do one of you guys think that like there is political will for the lockdowns? Because I think that's why I just don't really give a fuck about monkeypox. I don't think there's a chance that the states are in a position to mandate the sorts of things that they did with COVID. I don't think people are going to accept them left or right. Right?
Yeah,
Did
I
any of you
agree.
guys disagree with that?
I think there's absolutely some pandemic fatigue, regardless of whatever your political leanings. Like
Right.
nobody wants to, even though like yes, the left were largely more accepting of lockdowns. I think it's.
Oh, if you told.
I think it's
if
not
you told
correct to, like frame it as like people.
If
are
you told,
pro-lockdown, or the left is pro lockdown.
Well, if you told the entirety of America that you had to go back to lockdown and put masks back on, I think America would like flip shit no matter political leaning. I think America would just majorly flip shit because I think we're just worn down from the pandemic. When we were told the very beginning it's gonna be, when we were told the very beginning it's gonna be like 2 weeks to stop the curve, and then like a year and a half later we're still have masks on and still being told to keep masks on in public. It seems insane.
Can I go a little further, because I feel like
Doobie.
I think I unintentionally like centered this on the United States, but in Canada, right? I think you've also lost a lot of that will. So I'm wondering, we have some Canadians on here, unfortunately, but given that you're here,
I'm not Canadian.
So Trudeau, thank God. So Trudeau made a comment, right, about like
don't let him lie to you.
The truckers,
Goddamn Canuck over here.
The truckers at the border, right? And he was talking about these people with unacceptable views, and how like they're terrible, and we have to like do something about them. And he was talking about people who were like protesting lockdowns, right? Like, so do you guys agree with that kind of language, or do you agree that there is no political will left for lockdowns in Canada?
I do have to say that during the lockdowns, the quote-unquote trucker protests that were happening, although some of it was for the actual like lockdowns that were happening, there was like a lot of just random ass bullshit being added in. Like, for some reason there was like Trump stuff. It was like for some reason extremely politicized.
That's every big.
Yeah, but like this was like
protest.
Very predominant and like
no,
very
that's literally
focused on
every
like
big
the hate
protest.
aspect of it.
Have you ever been to a large protest? Have you ever been to a large
Trump stuff doesn't equal hate, and I don't think it's fair for you to get pissy over Americans commenting on Canadian politics.
But the thing
when that's all you guys, that's what you're doing right now. That's all you guys fucking do.
Gnosis,
way more chill.
Gnosis, like when we had Occupy Wall Street, there was like feminist fucking lesbian pro cat fucking discussions, right? Like every large fucking protest
with,
has
like,
crazy
terrorism.
people in it.
I'm
and
just
has,
saying,
like, all
in the
different
hate
types of
aspect,
things
it was
that
sort of obvious.
Like,
Like, there were
you just say you're fine with political terrorism,
but like, I actually want Justin Trudeau. I actually want Justin Trudeau to just come out in favor of monkeypox lockdowns, just so that we can ensure a Pierre Poilievre victory.
Hold on, I'm kind of Gnosis
the whole thing just to say that. Holy crap, right? Just like jumped in over Gnosis.
Gnosis, I just want to be sure that I heard you correctly. So you said that you're fine with political terrorism, and you're fine with buildings blowing up as so long as nobody dies. Like, is that really your standard?
That is my limit. Anything after that, I'm just like not okay with.
So
anything before that, I am
Project.
willing to justify.
Genosis endorses the Weatherman Project. All right.
Wait, hold on. So Gnosis, if people were upset with Trudeau's comments, right, about these unacceptable views these people have, and they're like minority, we got to do something. People thought that, hey, this dude's getting ready to round us all up and throw us into camps. You think it'd be acceptable for them to go and blow up government buildings so long as nobody died?
I'm saying I'm willing to justify. Doesn't mean I.
You would say that's justified.
No, I'm saying if it makes sense to me, I will be willing to make justifications. Literally, it is very biased. I am obviously a biased person. Why would I be not biased?
I will justify violence as long as it goes along with my opinion.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here, dog.
Why
you
would
have zero
I care
fucking
about anyone else?
Insanity.
You have no fucking principles whatsoever. You're
I'm
just
a very
fucking ADHD
selfish
jumping
person.
from like
I'm
bullshit topic to bullshit topic.
I am a self-centered and ironically self-censored person. Look, anything I do, I don't do it for the sake of other people. I only do it for the sake of myself.
Clip that.
Get vaccinated, I'm only doing it for myself. I don't
That
give a
if
shit about other people.
runs for office, make
I
sure
don't
you
like
use it in
cars.
his anti-office campaign that he's self-centered and only is going to do things for himself.
I'm gonna.
Prime
join the
invite.
Conservative
Prime,
Party
got
of
like an
Canada, by
actual
the way.
sociopath here. This is really interesting.
Psychopath. No,
so-
but I do have antisocial tendencies.
As a fellow
That's a
Canadian,
whole other thing.
I want to distance myself from this person. I'm a Quebecer, so not a Canadian like
Not all Canadians are this way. Mask off. We knew it all along.
But to address
So all the
Dewey's,
fucking Nazis are from Canada.
point, hopefully, like so even though I'm on the left, I'm not for the demonization of anybody. And like the way Trudeau handled the trucker protests, like very far from ideal. And like again, even though I'm on the left, I'm not for the demonization of anybody, just as, even though I have strong disagreements with Scott, I'm not for the demonization of Scott. I'd rather just like hash it out civilly and respectfully. But to also, again, address your point in terms of like COVID fatigue and lockdown, like for sure, I think given the general sentiment and people's mental health, it's hard to justify another lockdown if it's needed. However, I do think there is a threshold of mortality that can occur with a virus that people will be willing to lock down. Like if in fact, it doesn't seem to be the case so far, but if in fact there's a virus that comes along that's like 20, 30% mortality, I think people will be genuinely scared.
I mean, I think, but the problem is that this entire conversation is centered around the idea of trust. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say a certain mortality, people will be willing to accept it. Sure. If the institutions tell us that there's a certain mortality and like enough of the visual kind of like enough of their personal experience shows them that, maybe. But the problem is that this pandemic has eroded so much trust in the CDC.
I agree.
So much trust in the World Health Organization and so much trust from politicians. And I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like there are so many people that have seen what, happened in California, see what Governor Cuomo, right? Like he can murder people in fucking nursing homes, but the moment he sexually harasses somebody, then he's finally got to go, right? Like these people are not going to trust that mortality rate. Like it doesn't matter if it's true or not. They're going to look at a large portion of the American population, especially, but much of the West is going to look at that and go, I don't believe you because you provably lied to me for years straight, and I'm done with your bullshit.
So I don't disagree with you, but aside from abolishing the state, which I understand is basically coming, like what can we do then to hopefully reestablish trust in the institution? Or are you saying like that's pretty much impossible at this point? And
Well, first off,
we can only get to Ancapistan to get trust.
First off, we ensure China is not in WHO. We ensure countries that are not going to misaccurately represent their numbers and what they're doing in their country as far as health is. That is not in a World Health Organization. And we try to establish trust in our health system again. We take out Fauci because Fauci lied to Congress about I forget what exactly it was called, but the testing that happened in the Wuhan lab in China that was funded
No,
by.
he didn't lie. You just don't
He
understand.
did lie.
That.
He did lie. It was
He
funded.
certainly
It was
lied about other things, but he did not lie about
died.
People lied.
It was funded. Listen. It was funded. Listen, it was funded by another party that we backed, and we knew it was happening. And we continued to send the money, and we funded this just.
Where's the laptop?
Didn't that happen in Afghanistan? Anyway,
I'm sorry. What? It happened in the Wuhan lab in China.
No, of just like funding something that fucks you over. Anyways, yeah, continue.
That wasn't okay.
Welcome to America. Like, welcome to states. in
Hey,
general.
it
What
was
are you
not
talking
America.
about?
I want to say this. It's not
First
America.
off, I'm
It's
talking about
America
Fauci
post
lying in front of
Operation
Congress,
Paperclip,
but okay.
Look, our whole fucking government is filled with Nazis right now. We have to figure out how to get rid of that shit. How are we gonna like assume every 20
It's
years
filled with
the
Nazis?
CSI Yes, the CIA literally leaks to us. Hey, 20 years ago we lied to you and did all these fucking fucked up things, and now we're not doing those things. But in 20 years we're gonna find out that they were still doing those fucked up things, and that's consistently been our entire history with the CIA. So look up Operation Paperclip, man. The whole fucking government, including WHO, WEF, CDC, UN, EU, all filled with Nazis. It's abysmal. The whole thing's stupid. Anyway, go
I
ahead.
remember jumping down that rabbit hole when I was in my early 20s too.
No, I said I became a member of QAnon while I was banned on Twitch. If you don't want people to be a part of QAnon, stop banning people on Twitch. DGG.
Ban.
Oh shit. QAnon. I mean, he's not wrong about
so
Paperclip. Like that did happen. To be fair.
So essentially, we get people out that we know did lie. And then we move forward and try to reestablish trust the best way we can in the organizations we have, by pulling China out and pulling people who have lied to Congress and to the American people, about health crises that we've been experiencing.
Does that include politicians as well?
Why do I want to reestablish trust in these institutions?
Politicians are voted. Politicians are voted in. Fauci was not. So I'm talking about bureaucrats at this point in time.
I don't understand why we want to like I don't understand why trusting these institutions is by default a good thing, right? Like I'm trying to like, are you saying that like we'll clean them up and then they won't be corrupt and they won't have the same corrupt incentive structure magically? Like,
I think it's more
do
like
you trust the fire department? I'm just curious. Do you trust the fire department?
Well, if I lived in Uvalde, I wouldn't trust the police department.
To warn you about fires, potential fires like no burn days, shit like that. Do you trust them to put your house out if your house is on fire?
I mean, to a certain extent.
Okay,
I don't have a choice.
I don't. Fabian, I feel like is making. I hate to say this, but I feel like Fabian is making a pretty good point here. I don't think like trust is something we should rely upon if we're going to get anything from these people. We need to make sure that these are like reliable. We can fact check them, and there's a way that we can basically correct any errors we see in such an institution.
Well, fact checking,
which we can't do, and yeah, like fact checking has its own issues.
No, but what I'm saying is fact checking health organizations with the new Twitch TOS has become a big no-no. You cannot fact check health organizations.
I mean, like you can, but they selectively apply it.
I mean, nobody knows. It's super fucking vague. Like Twitch even says that they don't fucking. Their harmful disinformation TOS specifically like states that they're supposedly not the ones making the decision and that they're going to other parties. And then they list an example of one of the parties that they'll use, which is like a hardcore fucking leftist statist fucking organization.
So
like who the fuck knows what the TOS is?
So do you think that if platforms and just not just platforms but anywhere we have more discussions and more dissenting discussions, that would be better, that people would have more trust in these organizations, that instead when they hear that so-and-so gets banned for questioning the science, right, and however way they do that, that in itself damages the reputation
100%. If you don't have free speech, right, and like you make the QAnon thing, it's exactly what Claw on Twitch said, right? Like you make the QAnon fucking like radical fucking views so much worse when you're banning people like Dr. Malone. Like if you disagree with his science and you say that he's wrong and you want to prove him wrong, then like you should be able to do that. But when you just say, oh, certain things are no longer allowed, what a lot of people see is, oh, these people are the real people. These are the people that actually get it, right? And what they do is they follow them to places like Rumble. They follow them to places like BitChute. They get into an echo chamber, and then they find even more places that are far more of an echo chamber, right? Because Rumble is just a free speech alternative, and everyone should be on fucking Rumble because there's great shit there that isn't anywhere else. But then what you end up doing is as you kick people off of platforms, especially doctors and epidemiologists, what you do is you grant legitimacy, because what you're saying is I'm afraid of these people being part of the discussion. And once you admit that, what you do is you push people into echo chambers. If you want to solve this fucking problem, you have to be focused on an open dialogue with people that disagree. Science requires it. Right. And that is still happening. That is still happening in the scientific community for the most part. But the problem is that the reporting of it, because most people can't understand what's happening in the scientific community, if there is such a thing, which there really isn't. But we'll just say scientists doing research, right? There's still research that is done, but the media then picks and chooses. And you can find most of these journalists don't even understand what the fuck they're reading. It's so hilarious if you actually know what's in some of these papers and then you like listen to their reporting or read their reporting. You're like, you clearly have no idea what the fuck is in this paper.
Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, so to hopefully address a couple of Scott's points in terms of like, yeah, it seems like Scott is correct in terms of like echo chambers are a thing. And I don't know that banning is the answer, but also at the same time, like given also the knowledge that it does seem to appear that misinformation, disinformation spreads faster, way more than accurate information. Like how do we integrate that, right? So it's like, as much as I'm not for banning, I don't know how to deal with the fact that, you know, inaccurate information is just seems to be more readily accepted amongst people than accurate information. And to say that, you know, like totally science is about debate. Science is hopefully about skepticism and hopefully bringing as many voices together as possible. But there is still a certain amount of censorship that occurs in science, as in like, I've presented at many scientific conferences, and you have to submit an abstract. And you know, if I'm whatever going into whatever, I don't know, a geology conference, and I want to submit my abstract about flat Earth evidence, like that's going to be rejected, and it's going to be rejected on good grounds. You can't just like not everyone is we deplatform in science and scientific conferences, and we do that with good reason and on good grounds typically.
I mean, anybody that's ever had to research how to write a grant proposal knows that the scientific community obviously has some censorship, right?
Like, I'm not saying it's all good,
but
it's
bad. Not. It's nowhere near as bad as what is occurring in the information that normal people get. Is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
So yeah, just to go on his point, he said specifically that he thought that misinformation spread more quickly than it did than regular information, and I don't necessarily believe that that's true. I believe that what we are seeing is that people that tend to want to spread misinformation tend to be one, stupid, or two, very smart. Which leads them to be very, very good at social engineering, which allows them to get their message across better, faster, with more propaganda than you could ever hope to with your shitty fucking message of boring bullshit, right? Lock her up. It's those kind of things, that type of rhetoric that starts to get like ensourced into the community, into society. Let's go Brandon, right? It's that type of rhetoric that like starts to like ingrain itself, and that you cannot overcome because it is based in our like tribal DNA to be like this. So if we don't start fighting fire with fire, then you start to have to like you're locking yourselves up, which is what your strategy is. Usually we lock ourselves up and prevent any of this bad shit from happening to us, but we're also not even trying to fucking fight the actual wildfire that's starting, right? If all these echo chambers are so fucking stupid and dumb, you'd be able to throw a fact their way and be able to stop it all, right? If you were smart enough and brave enough and cool enough.
Wait, you think Let's Go Brandon is misinformation?
Oh, that's good.
Please. The entire concept of what the right wing tends to do is turns everything into a meme that then propagates into make Twitch great again. It's make America great again. It's whatever.
We get it. The left can't meme.
So let's go. So I want to hear from Corey because that's response to Corey. So Smooth, Doobie, then Gnosis.
Yeah. So just to respond, like, because to Scott's point, like echo chambers are a bad thing. Echo chambers are a thing, and we have good basis for that because that's borne out in the evidence. Like the research is happening in terms of like echo chambers and the effect of echo chambers, how they occur, their dynamics, and so to say, just as in the same vein, we have evidence showing that misinformation and disinformation generally spreads faster. We can get into all the mechanisms as to why, but just on the face of it, misinformation and disinformation does spread. That's an empirical claim backed up in evidence, just as the empirical claim of echo chambers, not overly good, have very negative effects. That's also an empirical claim borne out in the evidence. So like those two things appear to be true. And
you spread misinformation,
they will always be
you go to jail.
They'll always be true, just as an FYI, because there will never be a time when people care about spreading things that they believe are quote-unquote information as much as they're trying to spread things that are quote-unquote what their believed perception of what is information, correct? So in your little case, nobody's like preaching it's 2 hydrogen molecules for every 1 oxygen molecule. Like, we get how water works. We know we don't have to preach it every day. So there's not going to be just information that's surpassing misinformation.
Claw doesn't understand the trioxides are a problem. I said, wow, they're in the atmosphere.
Smooth.
They're very bad. Now, that's the ozone layer. And so, like, basically, if we go after this kind of shit, you attack it at the actual source of this fucking shit, which is socialization. And it's the problem from socializing in general and social structure that's actually causing like 90% of our problems. Miscommunication is 90% of conflicts worldwide. Even like Archduke Ferdinand, you want to really go in? You have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
I think that's
calm
super
the fuck
wrong.
down. Listen,
I think that's completely fucking
how in
wrong.
the fuck is this wrong? This is the complete.
I'm sorry, I have to deal with that later, but I gotta let
Smooth.
Smooth, Doobie, Gnosis.
Okay, yeah, you lost me on the last part there, but so listen, so how I think we can fix this is messaging, right? Like, when people tell the truth, they tell it in such a way that it doesn't even sound good. Like, they talk above people. They talk down to people, and it doesn't sound good. Like, you should talk to them like you're talking to your friend. Like, hey man, this is the truth. This is what it is. Hey, you should apply these steps to mitigate what might happen to you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do it, but these are the things you could do. Like, present it like a regular, like you would talk to somebody. The problem is, like, all these people, they talk down to people and saying, well, you should listen to me because I have 12 years in this and da 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 da, blah blah blah. And then somebody goes, well, you were wrong about this. And then they don't know how to actually respond to that. They just fall back to, well, I have this degree, I have da 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 da, instead of actually having the actual human conversation and saying, hey, I was wrong on this. I apologize. These are my things moving forward on how we can address this particular issue. But they don't ever. They just want to set themselves up as something that's infallible, which is wrong.
This is the problem. This is the problem with the power structure that we have, right? Is that, like, if you talk to scientists, talk to Corey. Corey is more humble and respectful than like any other fucking left-wing person I've met on.
Don't spread that rumor, Scott.
It's facts, okay? Right? But like, what you're talking about representatives in positions of power. You're talking about narcissistic people that the state and fucking governmental organizations put above us. And then you're like, well, why are these people talking down to us? Well, it's because we gave these people positions of like perceived legitimacy and power through the fucking monopolization of violence and said, no, you fucking listen to Dr. Fauci. And of course, fucking narcissistic, weird, fucking egomaniacal people rise in those positions. How could it be anybody else but that? Because if they weren't, they wouldn't have made it to those fucking positions to begin with, right? Like that's the whole fucking problem with these institutions that we're supposed to just fucking trust, that are like put in place above us to dictate what we should and shouldn't fucking think. And instead, what we should have is fucking freedom and freedom of association and competition, so that we can actually have respectful and meaningful conversations and get to the truth in a meaningful way.
Smooth, do you want to respond?
Was that even something I need to respond? That seemed like we were around the same wavelength.
Just want to make sure. All right, let's
Fair enough, brother.
Doobie then.
So I think earlier when I heard Claw say that he went into the QAnon rabbit hole after being banned, I took that as meaning that you like became a researcher, quote unquote, which actually means like typically you're being triggered by memes on 4chan, and that's your like research, right? But what you said is actually way more interesting. It sounds like you said that you actually like believed QAnon and went into the rabbit hole. So now I'm wondering, like, based on what you said a little bit ago about Archduke Ferdinand and shit, did you stop at like the children having their adrenochrome harvested and being sacrificed to Moloch, or did you go all the way to like the lizard people? Like, how far into that rabbit hole did you get?
Goddamn Doritos have Moloch babies in them from aborted fetuses.
I went all the way to the stories that were written in like 2001, before September 11th, that had to deal with Anthony Fauci causing a virus that would fuck over America. and that was written in 2001. So
So you went into like the pandemic shit, like the COVID is all planned.
Well, again,
and
that's the
it's
John
elites trying to
Hopkins
get us.
like official. There's no pandemic. There's an official John Hopkins simulation that explains 90% of what's happening as well. But again, these are the things that kind of get linked to people. And so when you say, did I actually fall into the rabbit hole, or did I just actually explore the rabbit hole and try to figure out every single one of the reasons why someone would fall into every single one of these? I wanted to see why. And there's obviously, the deeper you go, the closer to the Bible it gets, but eventually it all ends up at the Bible. And obviously it ends up being some sort of fundamentalist Christian type of 1776 Freemasonry type cult. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, you believe your path and keep acting like a frog, and I'm gonna keep acting like me and being a unbanned streamer after 20 months and being cool as fuck.
But did you drink? Did you drink codeine to better understand their mindset or not?
Well, I don't
drink that.
No.
Okay, well, so you don't really know. You didn't really know
last year.
No, man. Again, remember, I don't have to follow everything that I don't have to, like, you know, take communion.
Fake news.
Join.
If you don't,
you got
chug at least 2 liters of lean a day.
Wow, he didn't even have purple in his cup. How could he even know?
The problem is that none of you even know about the things that I'm talking about, and you're sitting here and
we don't know anything about it, of course.
You don't know about the actual books that I'm talking about that QAnon is based on, right? The actual books called Q that were written 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago that describe so many of the fucking things that are happening right now. Clearly, they're doing it with you know, circumstances of evidence.
It's
there's
the
no
one world government coming to fruition.
Gambit.
Do you know Grimm's? Do you know Grimm's stories, like Grimm's Brotherhood, all those kind of stories?
Yeah.
Also known as Disney. Do you know that they're all the same stories too? Like, they're all the same stories that we've all been telling ourselves. So if all the stories are the same,
JFK Jr. is Q. JFK Jr. is gonna come out. He's gonna come back alive. He's gonna be Vice President. Okay. I'm gonna go run for election in 2024. JFK Jr. is my Vice President.
Okay. So I just want you just connected Grimm's brothers, like Brothers Grimm fairy tales, to like QAnon. Said, hey, because those tales were adapted by people and made into new tales, and then retold, and then Disney took those and retold them again. Like therefore, like QAnon, like what do you?
All the same story, yes. So that basically QAnon understood that there's this story that is being told, and if you can latch onto that story and tell it with your own narrative, you can put anything out there into the world. There's like 9 Grimm's fairy tales, yet every fairy tale on the planet, every Disney movie, every Marvel movie, everything that's ever existed is basically Gilgamesh. So we get how everything kind of expands from Gilgamesh, and Star Wars.
Wait, what?
Wow! Universal human
finally. Wow! Someone finally read Joseph Campbell, and I said, this guy understands the monumental structure.
Yes.
The hero with 1,000 faces, like that's
like this is
well
we're getting there. So we're all getting there. Monomyth, right? So now imagine people figured out that the monomyth was a pretty good way to sell a fucking story, and some team is selling that story way the fuck better to the other team, and a lot of people are pissed off about it, and it seems like it's all of you. So unfortunately, you all know
we're not pissed off.
No one knows any of your.
It's obvious the best way to convince people. You don't just use buzzwords, Mad Libs to just like get them on your side. You just need to use the word that they understand.
Okay.
Hold on, can
Shut up.
The guy who gives all the tools to success from James Bond.
Doobie, go ahead.
I just want to know which part of the hero's journey we're on as a society right now. Like, where are we?
Next stop, we'll be looking at Pinocchio and how it connects to the QAnon space of the internet.
So, so just so I know, right? Like, said you just went down that whole rabbit hole to explain it. Okay, so then you don't believe in the tenets, right? So like, you won't. I mean, you're not into like the Pizzagate conspiracy or anything like that, right? Like,
I'm not into the conspiracy theory that there is a pizza parlor that somebody had ownership of and there was things happening in the basement of, but I understand presumably where that probably started from, which was metaphors for things that existed on an island that somebody has been suicided over. So I unfortunately
do you think it started from that? I don't think it started from that. I think
I
mean, that
absolutely
happened.
know that it did, and in fact, a lot of other things.
No, Pizzagate's been going on for a
We're
really
talking-
long time, actually, bro.
Yeah. You know what else has started around the same
When
time?
did Jeffrey
Pizzagate
Epstein
started?
die?
God, it was right
Like
around the
2
same
years
time
ago?
Operation Warp Speed got marked into existence, right? Executive Order
2 years ago?
13887, right? I think it's
I've
13.
been talking about Obama and Hillary and the way that they smell and the
correct
spirit
Order
cooking
1387.
long enough. All right, I'm going to tell you right now. If you
I don't know
smell
that.
Hillary, she smells
been a
like
while.
sulfur. All right, these
Bro,
people doing
been
the
a
spirit
while.
cooking rituals. I've been seeing
I'm
these
just
things.
saying-
I want to
I'm
ask you
literally
one
just
question.
saying what the president of the United States did,
Go
and
on
you're
Twitch.
acting like
I want to
a
ask you these.
psychopath right now.
Go
Like,
on
I don't
Twitch.
know
I want to
why-
ask you these questions. What do you think Obama meant when he said that he wanted 20,000 hot
No, I
dogs
didn't talk
from
about
young
Obama
Indian
ever.
boys,
Never
huh?
brought
What do you
him
think
up.
those special hot dogs
Never
had to
brought
do with?
anything racist up once.
Scott, I really appreciate you knowing what the fuck that means right now.
Anything which
Like,
like
I really
I'm not,
appreciate
I'm not a cultist. I don't know. I'm just saying what people have done. Operation Paperclip proven. These things that the 13887 executive order proven that happened like the week of the Epstein murder, right? Like we had to sign that into existence.
Is that a
real quick.
Star
Yo,
Wars
all the right
There's a lot of
wingers on my
timing of
channel,
it.
all the right wingers on my channel are supporting the idea that you're living in 2016. Your memes are so old.
Well, no, I mean, I was banned for 20 months, but I was not banned for that long. However, I will say that I'm telling you guys that the problem is my memes from 2016, the fact that they're killing is presumably for the fact that they are coming back up to relevancy because it is May in a election cycle. So I guess somebody's neck is about to get squashed here in a couple hours, right?
Wow. I'm really happy I asked that question. So yeah, so do you think that like so I want to be like super clear, right? Because I feel like you kind of danced around this earlier. You see, we're referencing like these simulations with John Hopkins and Anthony Fauci and yada yada. So do you think that COVID was like invented in a lab like intentionally to push society in a certain direction?
No, there's no COVID lab. All the COVID lab theories that came out to existence, which, by the way, one of my favorites was when Jon Stewart went on Colbert as a old friend and admitted that it was kind of crazy that 6 months prior they could not even talk about the lab leak theory, and then there is starting to get proof that it was in existence. And all Colbert could say was, "Yeah, but new information had surfaced." And no new information had surfaced, and it was the same theories that were just being confirmed that were being regarded as misinformation at first and non-information down the line. And this is a guy that has Apple TV behind him producing a whole fucking show. Then you have Spotify backing everything Joe Rogan's doing with a $100 million contract. Where in the fuck do you think where are your people getting their money from? Pfizer?
Would you like to connect this into a salient point at some point, Claw, on Twitch?
Well, I'm saying, where the fuck are they getting anyone that's preaching your information? They're all getting their money from one source that's called Pfizer, right? Moderna, AstraZeneca, whatever.
I feel like you said no. You said no to my question, please. You said no to my question.
There are
please wait 1 second.
Stop
Stop talking. You said no to my question, but then I feel like you went in circles implying that you meant yes. Right. So I want to be super clear. So when you say, hey, where are they getting their money from? We couldn't talk about this thing. Yeah. So if you don't think that it was made in a lab, right? And like, why would you bring up all that other shit?
Because I'm literally explaining to the exact point of what you're talking about, which is the lab theory. This was a theory that a lot of people.
Do you think the lab
got
theory
banned
is
over.
true?
I believe that Jon Stewart came onto the
fuck Jon Stewart. You think
I'm
COVID
yes?
exactly with I'm
hearing
exactly
yes.
the same theory that he said, which was that 100%. First off, yes, we know for a fact that the lab leak theory was real. By the way, now, so just as an FYI,
real
now,
meaning COVID was made in a lab. COVID was made in a lab. You think it was made in a lab?
No, wait. Okay, calm down. Do you think?
Answer the question.
You're saying no.
In a lab. When you say made in a lab, you're implying
yes?
so many things that you're trying to get me on because you're a
So when
fraud.
I'm not trying to
There's
get
a
you on
lab,
anything.
and
I'm
was it
trying
made
to.
there?
I'm
Bro,
just trying to
you
answer the
literal
question.
lab.
Bro,
Was it
I'm
made
literally
there?
Was
saying-
COVID made in a lab? Very simple.
Bro.
Was it made intentionally in a lab? Even
Bro,
accidentally in a lab? Do you think
Imagine
those
this
things
is
are
the
true?
lab. Was it
Bro.
made in this?
Nobody knows what the fuck happened with COVID.
Then why
or
would
how-
you say that it's real? You just said, hey, everybody, we know now that
You
the lab
said
leak
we
was real.
knew.
Made in a lab versus leaked from a lab is totally different. So you're saying made in a lab?
Okay,
is
was it
very-
made in a lab?
No, it was not made in a lab. Was it leaked?
Then how
Okay.
can it be leaked?
Probably.
Oh wait, hold on.
Because
Okay,
what do you
please.
mean? How could it
So,
be legally
okay, well, stop.
tested?
Okay, so you think they got this from nature somewhere, right? And it was in the lab, and then it was leaked. Do you think it was leaked intentionally?
Pangolin, correct?
Do you think it was leaked intentionally?
I don't think it was leaked intentionally. I think that when they funded the fucking shit, which they funded a lot of these biolabs around the world, not going to mention any other fucking countries where the biolabs exist.
Ukraine.
I think that a lot of the other fucking times that these biolabs or whatever were built in look, I've worked for government agencies before.
I work in a biolab, by the way.
I'm sure you do.
So, you know.
Hopefully, Corey. So I'm just
You
saying,
have
like,
one of them on the fucking panel. What the fuck?
I know for a fact that these things
Corey, are you a
very
lizard?
kept up.
Corey,
They're very
blink your
kept
other
up.
set of eyelids right now.
Very kept up, but guess what? Just like anything else, there are fucking holes in every single system that exists, and I guarantee Corey knows that at that biolab there was probably some sort of a fucking old pharmacist lady or some fucking chick that fucking would always hit the goddamn
Had
phishing
to be a
link
chick,
that
of
sent
course.
to her or some shit and would fuck up stupid shit like that all the time. There's always some fucking hole that happens in every company. This is
Pharmacist?
why black hat hacking is so easy now. Just so you all are aware.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
like,
So you think it was in a
you
lab,
literally sit on
and then it
the
was
table
leaked,
nothing all day. This is my life. Fuck
and then it
off.
was leaked.
Wait,
Okay, and
wait,
then it
with-
was leaked, and
with-
then
with
Literally said that
cybersecurity-
he believes it was
I'm literally laughing at this shit, but you're like,
with
you're
cybersecurity
wrong.
with cybersecurity being an all-time high, which is where I work, is cybersecurity. You think with cybersecurity being an all-time high across companies that black hacking is easier?
You actually think this cybersecurity is at the top rank of it? What in the fuck are you talking about? What do you work at? What's your job?
Claw on Twitch.
I
Bro,
work on.
You gotta
I
put the rum
I
and
work.
cokes down.
Okay,
I
and
work
so-
on
Doesn't
the
make
wrong.
any fucking
God.
sense.
I work with security, and I work for several companies. I take on clients in the form of companies
Bro,
and work
if
with
you
their
fucking
security.
Put your company's name out there right now.
Yeah,
and
but
just
you're not
say what
Claw
the
on
fuck it
Twitch,
is.
the real
I
expert here on
believe that.
I'm not
everything.
doxing myself.
Call your
I'm not
sales
doxing
guy.
myself.
Someone could fucking
not
call
doxing
your
myself.
VIP guy. They could call up a support ticket. They could do whatever the fuck they wanted. There's so many ways you can socially engineer your way into companies. You could just apply for a job.
I'm
and
so
act
glad
like
that
you're
your
a
girlfriend
fucking
is
can
coming to drink
gaslight
some
him.
of your rum and
Yeah,
coke
bro.
because you don't
Bro,
need
can,
no more.
can
you know
she
what's
bring
crazy
can
about
she
the
bring
whole
you a
thing?
glass of water, bro? You need to
No,
chill out.
The whole concept about this is, look, I
Glass
get it.
of
I'm doing the
weed.
9v1. I get it. I'm fine with that. Listen, the whole problem is I'm trying to attack this from a logical standpoint. All I'm trying to do is save the world, and all of you are trying to do is fucking trying to attack me for doing.
You just said that black hat hacking is easier now.
It is. It is easier because people are
Bro, it's
stupid.
not.
No,
It is
oh my God.
not.
Oh my God.
Literally,
How-
encryption is getting more
Bro,
difficult with time.
Bro, yes.
Go
Okay.
to Instagram right the fuck now. Look how. Ask Instagram how many times they're advertising. We can train you how to be an engineer in less than 36 weeks on Instagram. Everyone is being taught how to be an engineer right now. Everyone is being hired to be an engineer.
Does that
right
mean
now.
they're good
No,
engineers?
No, that
No,
I can
they-
teach somebody
No,
to be a
that's the
fisherman.
point.
Doesn't mean they're gonna be a good
Everyone-
fisherman.
Yeah, hold on. We haven't
Bro,
considered.
so
We haven't
that's-
considered
okay,
that
okay,
ITC
okay,
tech
listen.
exists.
I can't finish this.
He's
Stop,
right.
stop.
I can't.
Stop.
You driven me down such a fucking weird hole.
Wasn't I
that
next?
I'm trying to like solve
Dog,
every
you did
single
that
one
to
of it
yourself.
logically. Bro, no, Scott, I understand this.
Like
You are
100%.
literally, you are literally like the person that comes on these podcasts because they don't have anyone else to attack. I'm replacing you. You're gone now. Okay, Prime's inviting me every single time because I just 9v1 this whole podcast and you did dog shit. You're
9v1. You
Claude,
look like a
what
crazy
are
person.
you
nothing.
talking
Hold on.
Everything
Okay,
is
guys,
black.
guys,
Invited me to this shit.
100%.
Are you
Guys,
kidding
we
me?
haven't. We forgot. Okay, guys, we haven't considered.
Once and forever. Praise
Doobie.
Agara.
Yo, make
Where's
one
Agara?
fucking
What the
salient
fuck?
point, dude. Like, stop drinking.
What's
Like,
Agara?
it's embarrassing. You're worse than
Pathfinder
CTV
dog.
right now.
Bro,
I
like
just-
this
I
is
beat
Okay,
him
wait
all
1
night.
second.
Go.
Doobie,
Hey,
Doobie.
since-
Okay, guys, we forgot.
Black
he
hat
mentioned
hacking
this
is so
earlier.
easy.
Uh,
Black
He
hat
warned us
hacking is so
earlier.
easy. All right.
God. He warned us
Hey,
earlier.
so-
I think we forgot.
Oh my God,
We
we're here
forgot
from
along
Doobie.
the way.
Doobie.
We forgot along the way that Claw told us he's an icon, right? So we haven't considered the kind of intellect we're contending
I
with
know.
here.
I'm
And
literally
maybe he's
dealing
right.
with like people way beneath me. I'm like helping
Exactly.
you guys as like a fan, right?
We
Like,
haven't considered this.
I have
He's fucking
time.
up there on the
Like,
mountaintops.
way
He's a
better than
Bubba.
all of you.
Oh,
I hate
God.
all of you. I'm better than all of you. I get all of that. Okay. I don't
So-
have to deal with this shit. on a
Stop
fucking
drinking.
level.
Put-
I'm
Put down
supposed
the-
to be the narcissist here. I'm the
So-
one that admitted to be
shit on me,
okay
bro.
with
Then
terrorism,
God,
and you're
you
making
got
me
my
look
fucking
good.
point, bro. No, because you literally look like irrelevant because you literally got.
You're making me look good. That's
No, I'm
the
not.
only reason why I look like irrelevant is because I'm
You don't look good. You don't look good because guess what? You're not
I
gonna
don't
be
say I look good. I
relevant,
look like dog shit.
bro.
The
I'm
only
gonna
person
get
that doesn't look good in this
I
panel.
look like I
My
banged your
message
mom,
is
all
better
right?
than my
Let's
fucking
get to my
influence is
point
better
now.
than my
Okay.
fucking influence is better. If we're
All right.
influencers, let's fucking fight on the royale of influence. Let's go. That's
So-
what this is all about. Make your ideas matter.
One last thing.
Wow, powerful.
One last thing on this because this has been fun.
Your ideas don't
In
matter
terms
'cause
of
nobody knows
the
what your
Pizzagate
idea
thing,
is.
right?
Bro,
The height
so
of
angry.
Pizzagate, like I think we could all agree, was when it was attacked, right? And it was attacked in 2016. And then the Jeffrey Epstein story, according to most people, didn't get cut off to 2019. Why would Pizzagate have been inspired by JeffreyEpstein? Most people weren't even aware of the.
Alex Jones has been talking about
Epstein has
fucking
been talking
Jeff
about
Epstein
that,
for like
10
20
years.
years.
Yep.
Hey,
Okay,
PrimeCayes,
fair enough.
do you do
All
cage
right.
matches here? Do you do cage matches here?
What, you mean like a one-on-one? You want a one-on-one?
I will fight anyone.
Can we do a cage match?
Darius IRL is doing a DGG fight club. I will fight anyone here. I'll fight
Do you
anyone.
allow cage matches here?
I will fight anyone. in the
As a
community.
general rule,
I
you
will
shouldn't embarrass yourself
dominate.
in front of your girlfriend. Like, as a general
I don't
rule.
need a
Out
fucking
for
please,
20
calm
minutes.
down.
I feel like this.
Can I cage match Claw?
Couple notches down.
Cage match Claw?
I own this fuck.
Can I cage
finally
match
got
Claw?
his
You
chassis.
shouldn't
You
embarrass
mean your
yourself in front of a
girlfriend?
female. Okay, this is
Yeah.
pretty a bad idea.
I'm so glad
So
you're
really
drinking
quickly.
some of your rum and
So
You
coke.
shouldn't
Prime,
kill your girlfriend
Prime.
to fuck. That's probably not a good
Prime.
idea.
Prime, really
I
quickly.
do whatever I
Yeah.
want.
Dude,
It
dude.
hasn't even done me to
okay.
take
But you
control.
can't do
Oh
me,
my god!
baby.
Shut up! I can't hear Doobie. Doobie,
It's a
please.
Prime. To be fair to the Pizzagate shit, right? The actual pizza parlor that they were talking about was a pretty strange place with lots of strange people that attended it, right? I'm not saying that there was actually like child trafficking there, that kids were in the basement,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of sus shit going on with the owner of that pizza place, right? So just to be clear. So and I think that's what made the story like really ring true to a lot of people. Was the guy was like posting they had like pictures of like children with duct tape on their hands and like red asses on the walls and shit. Because it's a very sus place. They were inviting bands that had like the pedophile logo in their shit. The owner, his name was literally like Len Fantis or some shit, which means like the children. And he was posting weird shit on Instagram all the time. He's a very weird fucking dude. So I think that's why the story would ring true for somebody like Claw who has like 2 IQ. Okay.
Just so you're clear, I wanted to reiterate that all that I brought up when I brought up all that QAnon shit is that I'm saying I went all the way down that rabbit hole, found all that information out, and came out of it with a 401k, health insurance, a normal home. I'm a normal dude, right? You
Congratulations.
went down that-
Questionable.
Cool, right? You went down that rabbit hole. You found out similar information, not all the way. You
And I
pushed it
turned
out.
into a frog.
You pushed it out.
like
You pushed it
physically.
out. Congratulations, yeah. But you
Frog
informed us about the exact same things that I'm trying to inform us about, like exactly why people would fall down that rabbit hole, right? I'm trying to explain that there's literal stories from like 15, 20 years ago about the exact shit happening right the fuck now that's actually causing a lot of these people on Facebook that you're thinking are crazy psychopaths. They're following pretty normal fucking like logic when you think about it, when you read what they are reading, when you just hear what they're reading, you're like, oh, these people are crazy. When you actually
You can
read it,
convince
I
anyone of
did.
anything.
Okay, but I read it and I read where this
read
shit started from. I'm like, holy fuck, that's insanity. And like,
Fucking
I
crazy.
get- I get why people could be pulled into that fucking matrix, right? I get it, but we have to know why. And
But definitely
how
not Claw, who thinks COVID came from a lab.
Yeah, no, because again, listen, you weren't there, I wasn't there. I'm trying to be a
True.
logical human.
There might have been
person.
an old lady there. It's really irresponsible. This could have
Might have
happened.
been
It's
a
true.
rat.
Hey,
All
I definitely know-
biolabs have an
I
old
definitely
lady.
know
I
a
can attest
frog
to
wasn't
that.
there because if the frog was there, we would have known about it. So I'm saying that at the end of the day, this fucking shit's more important, in my opinion, than the actual solutions to these things. And I have a super hot girlfriend. Continue.
The tweets from the anonymous person who secretly knows the inside government secrets and will never decides to come out and say actually who they are. You think that's more important than what we were talking about?
That has absolutely nothing to do with the QAnon story that
You
I
know
just
what?
talked about. And
I'm-
that's
you know
I'm
what?
trying to explain
You
to
know what?
It's
I'm
not
calling it
about
right
that.
now.
It's not
I'm
about
calling it right
that.
now.
You think it's a Twitter account? It's
I'm
not.
calling it.
Bro, it's
I'm
way
calling it
deeper.
right now. I'm
You
calling it
guys
right
are
now.
so stupid.
I'm calling it right now. During his disappearance off of Twitch, Claw obviously became a CIA asset because this glowy representation of batshit drunk, insane, fucking pure stupidity that he's putting forward. This is a fucking psyop right now to make everyone think that Q is crazy and to stay away.
Claw's
think
on.
super clear, like-
Is Claw living a happy life?
album,
Probably.
26-song album on Spotify right now.
Shut the fuck up, Glowy.
Shut up, Glowy.
Hey, hold on. To be super fair to Claw,
Claw, you
How you think he got all that money in a house? Fucking Glowy.
you
are
are making people.
I feel like I've been really mean to Claude. I want to be fair. Like I only got involved in politics because like the government turned my family gay, right? So Claude, there's something to this shit, and maybe you're right. Okay.
Okay.
You only got into politics because
okay.
I made the Royale, which made you relevant. So
Okay,
shut the fuck
all right.
up, whore,
What the fuck is a Royale?